Right, so if you are here, you already know what we're doing. I'm actually installing a FuelX Pro Plus that I just purchased for my Svartpilen 401. Essentially, why do you want this? Well, you want this because this has the ability to give you, as the rider, the ability to choose out of 10 potential maps to kind of increase fuel or decrease fuel from your bike. So I have a little bit of experience working on DynoJet peripherals and kind of doing my own field trims and like doing like using some of the auto tune data to kind of improve the bike, not on this one but some of my other models. This one seems pretty simple. It comes with a remote that you can put on the handlebar, and if you go up or down, you're kind of changing the maps and you're adjusting fuel based on potential modifications that you're putting on your bike. So bikes from factory comes somewhat lean, so the engines run hot from a mixture of fuel, not necessarily running hot because of lack of coolant. So that's just for new riders on bikes. So essentially, this is going to be helping the bike in that particular closed loop scenarios to add some fuel to compensate for changes on your bike, such as a filter or maybe a header, but also helps you with the elevation changes on your environmental situation. So is it humid? Is it dry? Is it high? Is it a low altitude place? So all of that thing comes into play when bike has to compensate for fuel. So this is going to be helping your bike to kind of adapt to those conditions. In addition to that, you can choose maps based on the modifications you're doing to your bike. So let's just go ahead and get it installed. So the first thing you want to do is to remove the seat part. And now we're remove this. So some people may like to start, I guess, kind of, I don't want to say backwards, but like starting with the actual installation of the module on the front side of the bike. So I want to kind of plan for, where am I going to be, installing this. So maybe this is what I'm doing. So maybe I can run cables through here and kind of keep it under this. So, and then I can keep an eye. Oh, okay. Here's where the lights are going to show. If you have, okay, so there's plenty of places. So I can leave some slack on the cables and I can move it later. But as of right now, I think that's a pretty good, I guess, safe place, and I can kind of zip tie it or whatever. So as of right now, that's good. And then I'm going to start planning where am I going to be routing these cables all the way down to the O2 sensor. This is the harness that's going to go all the way to the front of the bike to meet with the O2 sensor. So one of these is going to go to the remote and the other one is going to go to the sensor. So this one I'm actually going to route, but I'm going to keep in here. This is the one with the 6 cables. This is the one, I'm sorry, this one's going to be the one that's going to go in here. So I'm just going to start running backwards because this one is a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to be using this one to run it from here to up and then kind of have it so it meets the other one in here. And that way I don't have to worry too much about having to run these bulky, kind of plugs, from here to the bottom. So I loosen the bolts a little bit, but you should be able to at least just get a good path through here. Okay, now you have the cable here, and I can start then now working on how I can make sure that this is going to be on the inside of the frame. In my specific case, I don't want it kind of hanging in here. I want to make sure that goes on the inside where the other cables are. That way it looks, somewhat factory, and I'm not changing, any of the appearance, from the frame and the engine and whatnot. Even before removing this, which is part of the process, I'm going to run this down here just so I can have them already here. So cables are going to be waiting for me, and then once I reach and remove the new ones, I'll just simply connect them, and then I start putting a bunch of zip ties to ensure that all of the cables are out of the way. See where the cable is? That's where this one is gonna go to. I'm gonna put this on the ground. It'll probably be a good idea just to remove the negative from the battery. So FYI, So now these two plugs looks just like the ones on the bike. These are the new ones that I just put in here because they're waiting to be installed. And if I look here, you have the same right here. So I read somewhere that there's a zip tie kind of keeping this one in play, and I can see it here. All right, cool, got it. So now that I caught it, I can pull this from the housing. So now what you want is just to pull this. Okay, so now that I pull it, I should be able to disconnect this too. There you go. Had a little bit more to go. There you go. So now what I want to do is to trick the bike to think that she has the original connection, and I'm going to connect the new one to this one, to the existing on the bike. That's tight. And now we're gonna take the one, this is the one for the bike, and we're going to be installing the one from the harness. Perfect. So now we have them all mixed up. Connect this ground, which is going to be in the same place as the other one. Not going to be installing everything yet because I want to test it before I complete the installation. So this is going to go on the inside. So now this is here tight. I got the negative or the ground for the connection. So now I haven't, you can notice that I have not made that connection yet. So this is still disconnected. So I'm going to connect the control now and the other side of the bike. Okay, so in a similar way, you have the remote, and the remote comes with this long cable and then ends on this plug, which similar to the ones we already had on the battery of the bike, right? So now what I'm going to do the same, but I'm going to come from the other side, bring this over, and then run these cables on the right side of the bike. Repeat the same process. So essentially just plugs right here. So now I can do the connection. Same thing, I'm going to get it to its final position, and then I'll measure the cable so that I can kind of roll it and put it very tight and then against the frame. But for now, I'm gonna keep it somewhat, I'm gonna keep it like that without putting it on the handlebar so that I can, test it and see if it's working. So all right, so at this point, everything is connected on the left side. This is going to be connected now. So I should be able to get the bike going and see if it's working. And if it's working, then I'll just finalize the cable routing and kind of the cable management, I guess. Okay, so let's make the connection. One that has a, okay, like so. So essentially I should be able to turn the bike on. And if I'm not mistaken, these lights are going to tell us whether or not when the computer is actually compensating or doing its job by either staying quiet because it doesn't need anything else, or maybe it's adding fuel if there's something needed. If you're curious about what I meant about the maps, you can take a look at this and see map number 3 is stock, and then as you continue to go all the way up to 10, this is like the more fuel you're actually getting into the mixture. And then if you want less fuel, then you'll go to 2 or 1, which of course you'll have to play with that a little bit. If you look in here, this will tell you if it's green, it's not doing anything. It's just playing nice with the computer. But if it's blinking red, that means that it's actually activating the map or the help the piggyback is providing to the bike by subtracting fuel. I'm going to turn on the bike. Sure that's in neutral. Perfect. Let me take a look at this. No lights as of right now. So let's get it going. Though the bike says, or not the bike, but I was just rereading the instructions, and it says that instead of getting the ground from here, I should connect the ground directly to the battery. So based on the instruction, that's what I'm going to do. But you know, still getting the negative signal, I guess. So that shouldn't be that big of a deal. But just for the purpose of, like, you know, warranties and whatnot, I want to do it exactly how the manufacturer wanted. So I'm going to pull this back and then just reroute it back to through the top like I did the harness initially. And now I'm going to turn the bike on again. Okay, so now that I know this is working, I'm going to go ahead and to push them in, and I'm going to get another one and run it through the frame. Actually, let me do that first. Do this first. Let me get another zip tie through the frame here. Look, now I put a zip tie on the top, and as you can tell, they are just in the same position as they were before. So I've seen people that they just push them and kind of put them like inside and then just leave them floating. That's fine if that's what you want to do, but I like to kind of keep it as, you know, tight as possible so that it kind of emulates the same way the plug was, you know, in the bike before. So I'm going to put this here. What I want to do is now perfect place to install this, which is the remote. But I'm looking for what is that perfect place where I can kind of keep it in here, but a little bit out of the way. So maybe it's here. Give you an idea how it looks kind of mounted. I'm going to tilt it and kind of use the same routing of the other cables so they are going together. Installation is complete, so now you can see the remote. It's here, and if you're curious, I was able to run the cable just following the same route and then going underneath the frame just like the other cables. And finally, I still need to put a zip tie here, but essentially just going up. I thought about kind of running through here, but nah, just like staying up, and I just need to put one here. It's already kind of being held by this existing metal thing, just kind of holding one of the ventilators from the fuel tank, and then going up, and they're both meeting here, trying to keep them as tidy as possible. And then finally the negative that came with the system, but everything is out of place and then at a level where the seat is here, so everything underneath it should not affect the installation of the seat in any way. So now I'm going to turn on the bike and then just kind of be able to see the lights kind of blinking and ensuring that it's working. And then if you're curious, it's going to be on map, the default map. And then if you want to go up or down based on the diagram that I showed you before, you'll get a confirmation as to, you know, what map you're in. So what I was trying to show you is this diagram has a number on the side. So you see, you know, map 1 through map 10. So when I hit the button for the first time, the button actually blinked 10 times. So that means that it was actually in the richer map at the bottom. So As soon as you click it once, he's just going to give you confirmation by blinking as many times as the number you have on the diagram to show you in what map it's in right now. So right now I have it on stock map, which I'm going to be trying, and then I'm just going to go ahead and do map number 4 since I have no modifications besides the fact that I removed the chamber. Besides that and the sleep one, I don't have anything else. I'm not expecting, the fueling to be too weak, kind of too out of whack. So essentially, when I show you then the computer kind of blinking red, that meant that I was changing map and the bike was adjusting or adding or actually activating the map from the FuelX, from the Powertronic, just to ensure that it was keeping, fueling in the right place based on the current conditions. All right, so I'm actually pretty happy with the end result. I haven't ridden the bike yet, so I'm just gonna take it for a spin, and I'm going to start working on, seeing, where do I put the map? Like right now, I have, besides the chamber, I don't have really like a lot of modifications. So I'm going to be maybe trying map number 4, which might be enriching the bike, the fuel, just a tiny bit. So that's step number 1. Second step, this. I'm going to be working on installing this header, which that should make a difference in the sense of like asking the bike for more fuel, because now there's not going to be any restriction by removing the catalytic converter. And of course, the diameter of the pipe is not as the one we have right now, which is like completely like flattened and kind of flat in some areas. So I'm expecting the flow to be better. And that, in addition with an airbox, that's definitely the answer. You're gonna have to kind of do some fueling modifications so you can at least have it in a place where the engine is happy and it's not running the risk of running lean. I'm curious to know if even though I'm not able to work on timing or whatnot with the piggyback, if I can actually take it to a dyno to at least try to match and see, what is the place, the right map for my modifications, where I am on the right place in the fueling, where I'm not adding more than what I need and I'm not running the risk of running lean. So that'll be something cool to do in the future. As of right now, I'm going to be looking for more drivability with the mapping. So I'll kind of give you an update as soon as I install this. And if you are interested in seeing this installed, I can probably just make a video as well. Thank you.